Hi there, in this video I'm going to take you through the main methods of inviting players to your virtual bingo game on myfreebingocards.com and talk about some of the pros and cons of each method. The first main method I'm going to talk about is sign up links. This is where you create a single link to send out to lots of different players so they can sign up and get bingo cards for your game. This is where you do it, and I've already created one sign up link here. The second method is by email invite. There are two ways to do this, either using our email invite system where you paste in a load of email addresses and allocate bingo cards to people and send them invites, or you can do this yourself using mail merge if you know how to do that. And the final method is how to invite players to a free bingo game. If you are organising a free bingo game, you can skip straight to 6 minutes and 30 seconds to see how to invite players. In this video, I'm not going to give detailed instructions on how to use each method. We have separate videos for that. The main aim is to look at a few different considerations in order to help you decide which method to use for your bingo game. So the first consideration is going to be trust, and it's important that you only use the sign-up link, any of the sign-up link methods, if you trust your players not to claim more bingo cards than you intend. So if you intend to give each player 2 bingo cards and you don't trust them to only claim 2 bingo cards, then don't use a sign-up link method, because there are ways, very easy ways, for players to abuse a sign-up link and claim more bingo cards than you intend. So if you don't trust your players to claim the right number of bingo cards, you should definitely use one of the email invite methods. That way you have complete control over how many bingo cards each player gets. We'll look now specifically at sign-up links, and when you create a sign-up link, you can choose for players to sign up in different ways. They can sign up by entering their name to claim their cards, by entering their email address to claim their cards, or by instant sign-up where they do not have to do anything. And I'll talk now about each of those different methods. So if you choose for players to sign up by name, you should be aware that each name can only be used once, otherwise this would be really confusing for you as a game organizer. Once players sign up using their name, you will see their names appear in a table of allocated bingo cards, so you'll be able to see who has signed up for the game. If you're going to use this method, I don't recommend you send the link out far in advance. Ideally, send this kind of link out just before the game. Otherwise, players may claim their cards using their name, and then if they then go to access on a different device, they won't be able to use their name to collect their cards again, so they'll be stuck unless they recorded their player code, which almost certainly they didn't. So ideally, only send this type of link out just before the game, so players claim their cards and they're ready to play straight away. In terms of data protection, there's no need for players to use their real name. They can use a nickname if they don't want to use their real name, so there aren't big data protection implications for using this method. Next, we have sign-up links where players sign up by email. In this case, you should be aware that each email address can only be used once per link. This avoids users accidentally entering their email address lots of times and using up all your cards. Again, with this method, you can see who signed up. Their email address will appear in a table of allocated bingo cards. With this method, you can send a link far in advance. And in fact, it's better to avoid sending this kind of link just before the game. Some people inevitably will either type their email address wrong, or the email will end up in their spam folder. And if you're doing this just before the game, it could be a bit stressful to try and resend those links in a different way. So if you're going to allow players to sign up by email, it's better to get that done in advance so you can deal with the small number of players who might have difficulties. One thing to be conscious of is data protection here, and especially if you're using this within a company, your company's data policy may prohibit your colleagues from entering their email address into a system like ours. Even though we will protect your data and we won't sell your players' email addresses or spam them, nonetheless your company may have a strict policy about that, so you should check that before you go ahead and make a sign-up link using email. Next, we have instant sign-up links. This is the fastest, easiest method in certain situations. For example, if you're playing with small children and you don't want them to have to follow lots of steps to get to their bingo cards. In this case, they click one link and get taken directly to their bingo cards. A disadvantage of this method is you can't see who has signed up. You can only see how many players have signed up. Ideally, you should use this type of link just before a game rather than sending this kind of sign-up link out in advance. And another advantage of this method is that we don't collect any personal data for your players. They don't have to enter anything to claim their cards. Next, we have email invites, which are sent from us. This method is really easy to use. You just have to paste in a load of email addresses, choose how many bingo cards to give each player, and hit send, and our system will send bingo card links out to your players. Ideally, use this method in advance of your game, just in case you mistype any email addresses or if there are any problems with the emails getting through or ending up in spam. And again, with this method, check your company's data protection policy to see if you are allowed to enter your colleagues' email addresses into a system like ours. If you're not allowed to enter your colleagues' email addresses into our system, and if you have skills with mail merge, then we provide a CSV file of virtual bingo card links to allow you to send out the bingo card links to your players yourself from your own email account. That way we never see your players' email addresses. Again, ideally you should send this in advance in case there are any problems with players not finding their email. And unfortunately, one drawback of this method is that if you allocate, for example, 2 bingo cards to each player, they won't be able to play these cards simultaneously if you send the email invites out yourself, because our system doesn't know which cards have been allocated to which player. Finally, we have the methods for inviting players to free bingo games. There are 2 methods. Firstly, there's the virtual link method, where you share this link here with all your players. Or secondly, there's the individual link method, where you send out individual links to each player. So the virtual link method is very easy to use. You send out exactly the same link to all of your players, and you can send that link out at any time. It doesn't matter if you send it out in advance or immediately before the game. No personal data is collected from your players, which is great. The only drawback with this method is that several players may get the same card. So there are 30 different bingo cards available, and each time a player follows that link, they're given a random card of those 30. So it does mean that 2 players may get the same card using this method. If you want to be certain that each player will get a different card, then you can use the individual link method. This is a bit more time consuming to send, although you could use mail merge if you're familiar with it. Again, these individual links can be sent anytime, either far in advance or just before the game. Again, no personal data is collected, but there is a limit of 30 of these individual bingo card links for the free game. I hope that's been a useful overview of the different ways to invite players to your virtual bingo game. With all the different methods we have, there's bound to be one that suits your situation. We will make a further video looking at the sign up link method in a bit more depth to take you through all the different options and possibilities with that.